Welcome to the Western Wisconsin Journal. My name is Mary Claire Olson Potter. I want to remind you to get out and vote on Tuesday, April 6th at the Village Hall. Let's meet our first candidate, Mary McGurran. Mary, tell us about yourself, your background, and your qualifications.
Thank you all who are taking time to become informed about the North Hudson Village Board of Trustees election. My name is Mary McGurran, and I'm a candidate for the board. There's a number of great candidates who are seeking election for the 3 open positions on our Village Board of Trustees. I also want to thank Nate and the River Channel and the Hudson Community Access Television and Mary Claire Potter from the Chamber for hosting the forum and providing an opportunity for our community to be involved in our local government, not only through all the meetings that are broadcast, but specifically for this forum to help people make informed decisions in our upcoming April 6th spring election. So for those of you I've not met before, my name's Mary McGurran. I was raised in St. Croix County. I graduated from New Richmond High School, and I've lived in North Hudson with my husband, Dan Schmidt, since 2014. Collectively, Dan and I have 5 adult children, 4 son and daughter-in-laws, and 3 grandchildren. Dan and I picked North Hudson for our home because of our shared love of the St. Croix River and because it's central to work in our family in Somerset, New Richmond, Amory, and the Twin Cities. And we're really, really glad that we did. Living in North Hudson has enriched our lives. My son, who had just graduated from high school when we moved, got a job at Camp St. Croix, where he's worked every summer through college. And as a result of that, he made friends that are going to be his friends for his whole life. My daughter's career as a physical therapist was launched when she got her internship at Catalyst. And when she comes home to visit, now we head right down to the river because it's one of our very favorite spots. My husband, Dan, is a lifelong resident of St. Croix County, and he's dedicated his career to supporting businesses in the county as a loan officer. He's recently been working with the Small Business Administration as a lender relations specialist, and he provides really important support to businesses during the pandemic. Dan keeps me in tune with what's going on in our business community and what's really needed for a strong business community. I work at the Minnesota Department of Human Services, supporting county programs and services to promote the dignity and safety of vulnerable adults who've been abused or neglected or financially exploited. Dan and I really love walking in our neighborhood, and especially walking down to the river and enjoying the beauty of our village with its trees and parks. We also like taking our grandkids to many of the local parks to play. I'm a social worker and I graduated from St. Catherine University. I've devoted my whole life to supporting the rights and dignity of older adults and people who are vulnerable. I have experience working with healthcare systems, with services for people to keep them in the community or in their home, with lots of different nonprofit agencies, with law enforcement, the courts, and state government. I've served on the board of a national organization. I know through my work how to manage contracts and large budgets. I'm experienced in leading teams and understand the importance of collaboration and partnership, fiscal responsibility, and accountability. I understand how government works at both a local level and a state and national level. I work with honesty, integrity, and respect for everybody. I know how to listen. I value inclusion. I research facts, review ordinances, consult partners and experts, consider sustainability, as well as long and short-term costs and budgets in all my decisions. I promise you that I always do my homework. I like to understand the rules. I like to understand what people think and to consider long and short-term outcomes and decisions. If elected, I'll make fact-based decisions that will benefit our community and our quality of life.
Why are you interested in serving on the North Hudson Village Board?
I'm interested in serving on the board because I care about people and I care about good government. My dad was on the city council in New Richmond while I was growing up, and watching service for local government is really part of who I am. I've always given back to my community. I've been a Girl Scout leader, a Sunday school leader, a parent volunteer, and a lay communion minister for people who are hospitalized through my church. In my role as a social worker, I understand how important neighbors are in helping people who might need some support to be in their communities, and how strong communities and social connections help protect people to be safe and to have a good quality of life. Local government is fundamental to the quality of life in our community. Participation by informed citizens is critical to the success of our democracy. I want to contribute to our community here in the village of North Hudson through this nonpartisan role by serving on the Board of Trustees.
Okay, thank you. Here's our next question. Why are you interested in serving on the North Hudson Village Board?
I'm interested in serving on the board because I care about people and I care about good government. My dad was on the city council in New Richmond while I was growing up, and watching service for local government is really part of who I am. I've always given back to my community. I've been a Girl Scout leader, a Sunday school leader, a parent volunteer, and a lay communion minister for people who are hospitalized through my church. In my role as a social worker, I understand how important neighbors are in helping people who might need some support to be in their communities, and how strong communities and social connections help protect people to be safe and to have a good quality of life. Local government is fundamental to the quality of life in our community. Participation by informed citizens is critical to the success of our democracy. I want to contribute to our community here in the village of North Hudson through this nonpartisan role by serving on the Board of Trustees.
Okay, thank you very much. And our third question, what do you see is the most important issue facing the village in the next 2 years and beyond?
There's three issues that are facing the village that I'd like to discuss. The first one is infrastructure and sustainability. A sustainable quality of life in our community depends on smart planning and infrastructure investment. The City of Hudson terminated our joint water agreement in December 2020 after unsuccessful negotiation. Having clean water is obviously basic to the health of our community. At this time, the issues about our water agreement with Hudson are being discussed under closed board sessions. If elected, I will be fact gathering and do consultation with my colleagues on the board and other experts for planning and decision making to move forward, because this is a critical issue for the upcoming Board of Trustees. Another issue related to infrastructure is the Highway 35 project, or as we know it, 6th Street here in North Hudson. That's another critical infrastructure project that's going to affect us this year. Long term, this is a really important project because it's an investment in our community by the state. Short term, there's going to be inconvenience to residents and impact on local businesses due to closures and traffic constrictions. The Strive to Survive cooperative effort led by members of the Board of Trustees needs our support and our partnership, because we want to help our local businesses to survive during the 6th Street closure. A second important issue is zoning and planning to support a welcoming community. North Hudson's connection to nature and water are our community's strengths. Our lives, our health, and our quality of life are dependent on protecting the water quality in Lake Malibu and the St. Croix River, and in having parks and green spaces for recreation and connecting with nature. New housing developed in the village is a benefit to our tax base and a benefit to the services that we can offer, but not many of the houses that are being built right now are affordable at the median income level in our village. And not all areas in our village are safely walkable or accessible. We work and attend medical appointments, get groceries, go to church, and make our social connections sometimes outside of North Hudson. Yet the ability to safely walk or bike or have access to other forms of transportation are limited. And it's really challenging for people who might not drive or own a car. So we want to stay attuned to how our local ordinances impact our water and our natural resources, and how what we do, it can show welcome to others in our community for families of differing incomes, and how accessible our community is for members who might have a disability who are aging. We want to use our partnerships with the county and the state to identify and raise up the needs in our community. And a third issue is communication, participation, and inclusion. North Hudson is a safe place to live. It's one of the reasons that we're here. We have great public safety and law enforcement. The village has really fun community building events hosted by the Pepperfest Committee, by volunteers, and the village, such as our recent Winterfest. These community builders are really important for the safety and inclusion and cohesion of our community. Our safety is promoted when people feel like they're part of the community and when their voices have a real impact on decisions and actions. Communications, both providing information out to people in the community and receiving information back, is really critical to our community's safety. And our community participation is supported when the public has ways to both give input in setting the decision agenda and to have input into the decisions that are made. It's a really important role for anyone on the village board, and I would say that would be a priority of mine. People really want to also hear about what the critical issues are in the village, and social media and the local newspaper might not fill all the need for information on those issues. So communication is really, really an important role. And we need to stay tuned in to ways that we can share information consistent with the resources that we have and the expertise that we have and what our departments and board know has worked in the past for sharing information and getting people's feedback.
Thank you. We're going to move on to our fourth question. Do you see any areas where the village could reduce spending without reducing services?
There's been some really smart decisions that have been made by our board, including one recently with our Public Works Department that has reduced our spending without impacting services. For instance, the Public Works Department decreased their budget 8% between 2020 and 2021 because of smart investments in equipment and looking at contracts for services. Reducing spending without impacting services really has to be considered within the context of the village's current circumstances and our needs and our goals. Our budget in the village decreased 10% and our tax level decreased 2% between 2020 and 2021. The village budget growth is below other similarly sized communities in our region. If on the board, I would listen to residents and my colleagues on the board and the experts from our departments, like the court and the chief in public safety and our public works director and our administrator, to identify barriers to village services and potentials that they see for efficiencies and cost savings. We have a really well-run village and really good department heads and staff that can help us in making these decisions. Each annual budget has to reflect the village's current priorities, as well as our need to invest in the future and set our future goals.
Thank you. And moving on to our fifth question. Do you see any things that could be done in the next 2 years that would improve the municipal operations in the village? And a follow-up to that, what would be your ideas on how to improve these operations?
I watch the board meetings and many of the committee meetings on the River Channel and through the Facebook page. And as part of this election, I've met with village department heads and talked with current board members as well as members of the community. And I just have to say again that we have a well-run municipality. There are some things that we can consider to improve our operations. We always want to be aware of ways we can leverage technology within our budget to inform residents of important issues and encourage participation in our government. One positive impact or outcome from the pandemic was that more people can participate and become involved in our local government through remote technology like this evening that we're having for the panel meetings. This is especially important for people who have limitations due to health or transportation, and we really should continue on a path that supports people in remote ways to participate. Second, in the last census, Our community showed that less than 2% of our citizens were racially diverse and less than 2% were below the poverty line. Statistics aren't available for other kinds of diversity, but we know that a diverse community is a sustainable, strong, and safe community. There have been some events or situations in our area, especially in the past year, that have promoted division, and some that have been threatening or felt threatening to some people. The city of Hudson is developing or adopting a Golden Rule initiative, and that's really about treating others as they would want to be treated. Here in North Hudson, we can also find ways to express welcome and inclusion for residents of all ages and races and abilities and religions and identities. And feeling welcome and included encourages people to participate that already live here, and also encourages those who may be considering making the village of North Hudson their home to choose North Hudson.
And thank you so much for joining us. And our final question is, are there any additional comments that you would like to make now?
Yes, if you are not a registered voter or you'd like an absentee ballot, you can get information on voting at myvote.wi.gov, or you can contact Melissa, our village clerk, at 715-386-5141. The village also has election information posted on their webpage at www.northhudsonvillage.org. There are a lot of barriers to meeting people during the pandemic, and I wish I could have met and will meet more of you personally, but I'm not doing door knocking for obvious reasons of safety. So I really appreciate this opportunity to meet more residents of the village. I want to join you in building our community for the common good of all of us. I am asking for your vote on April 6th. I promise I'll make decisions from the perspective of your public servant if elected to the village board. You can find more information or contact me to talk about the concerns or questions that you might have through my Facebook page, Mary for Village of North Hudson on Facebook, or my webpage. This is a long one, Mary for Village of North Hudson at GoDaddySites.com, GoDaddySites.com. And that also has an email and a phone number on it as well. So please vote through absentee or in person at the Village Hall on April 6th, and consider voting for me, Mary McGurran, for the Village of North Hudson Board of Trustees. And thanks again for taking time out of your busy day to learn more about me and all of the candidates. And thank you, Nate.
I'd like to thank the candidates so much for joining us and remind everyone to get out and vote on Tuesday, April 6th. Thank you so much.